Welcome everyone to our Challenger Meta Report after 24 hours of patch 14.9. Today we'll be showing you the top meta comps to play in patch 14.9. This is the current stats of the top meta comps 24 hours after the release of patch 14.9. We'll be guiding you on how to play each comp from the optimal opener, itemization, and augment selection. Let's start with Dragonlord Trickshot. Dragonlord Trickshot is the comp with the highest win rate as of now. We want to start the game with a Storyweaver opener into a win streak with this comp. We will use Sivir as our item holder for our Kaisa/Xayah items, while Garen or any upgraded frontline can hold our frontline items. We will follow up our opener by adding either Bruiser/Warden/Altruist or all three during stage 3. Once we get to level 8 at either 4-1 or 4-2, we'll start rolling down for our frontline and a Kaisa 2. I'll leave it up to you if you want to fast 9 with a Kaisa or Xayah 1 if you have a lot of HP. Be sure to pick up any 4-cost frontline units during your roll down. Staying flexible with your frontline units is the best way to guarantee that you can hit your units. Replace any of the legendary units with a lower cost unit that shares the same trait, Aatrox for Azir, any Trickshot for Xayah. After your initial roll down at 4-1 or 4-2, you can start getting your econ back up and go 9 once you have enough gold, or keep rolling if you miss your units and are starting to lose a lot of HP. Augments. Since this is a very expensive board, we want to use econ augments during our 2-1 or 3-2 selection. Augments such as Raining Gold, Epic, and other similar types are desired. We can also use EXP augments such as Level Up, Slammin', or Cluttered Mind. We shift our focus at 4-2 to combat augments. We can use augments like Martyr, Stand United, Combat Caster, Best Friends, and Inspiring. The most important thing is that we pick a combat augment during 4-2 to improve the firepower of our comp during late game. In terms of itemization, Last Whisper can be the only one considered to be core. Everything else can be changed. Build Kaisa with Last Whisper plus 1 damage item. Infinity Edge is generally the one used since there is a synergy between the critical strike of both items. With the LW and IE core, we add a third item from Giant Slayer, Deathblade, and any offensive tattoo, Toxin being the best. We can also use Shojin if we receive too many tears from Mort Dog. Frontline items are flex. The most important thing is that we have 3 tank items for our main tank Ornn. Thief Gloves goes on Azir or Lee Sin depending on what we hit first. Bruiser Kaisa uses the same items and opener as Dragonlord Kaisa. The only difference is in your augments and what you hit at your 4-1 or 4-2 roll down. Augment. Little Buddies, Too Healthy, and Lucky Ricochet are maximized in a Bruiser Kaisa board instead of Dragonlord Kaisa. Should you have these augments, play the Bruiser Kaisa version instead. Let's move on to the second top-tier AD comp, Ashe Porcelain. If you find yourself with a Rageblade opener, then look to try to play this comp. We can easily fit a Leoi and a Mumu for Ghostly and Warden during our level 7 board. Transition to the final board starting at 4-1 or 4-2. Be sure to hold other frontline units to make sure that we can minimize our chances of missing during our roll down. This comp is extremely flexible with Exalted. Be sure to check it before the game starts and see if you can find a way to fit it. The easiest way to do so is by dropping 4 Porcelain, Lux, and Amumu. Augments. Similar to the previous comp, Porcelain Ashe also uses a lot of gold, so be sure to go for an econ augment at 2-1 or 3-2. Any generic combat augment is fine at 4-2 with Martyr, Pumping Up, Combat Caster, Inspiring Epitaph, and Best Friends being the best. Porcelain Emblem is also another way to cap this board if you can get to 6 Porcelain. Itemization. Ashe has 2 core items in Rageblade and Last Whisper. After that, she can use a wide variety of items such as Infinity Edge, Deathblade, Gunblade, Giant Slayer, and Renan's Hurricane. Annie as the main frontline can use a wide variety of items. The most important thing is that she is the best holder for the Porcelain Emblem. Lilia, Azir, or Lissandra can use the AP items. Do not prioritize their items over Ashe. Our third comp is Dragonlord Azir. It is a fast 9 comp, which means that you can't play this comp without a win streak. You want to play this comp from an AP opener such as Storyweaver Zyra. Add Sage and Dragonlord at level 7. At 4-1 or 4-2 get to level 8 and roll a little for Ornn and high roll 5 cost. Start going 9 to cap your board with Dragonlord and legendaries once you stabilize your board. Augment. At 2-1 or 3-2, pick an econ augment to supplement your gold from the win streak. You will need a lot of econ since this comp uses a lot of legendary units. You can go for item augments over combat power as well since you want to itemize as many legendary units as possible. Itemization. Azir can use a wide variety of items. You want either a Shojin or adaptive as a mana item and pair it with a damage item such as Rabadon's Death Cap or Archangel's Staff. Your third item is flexible, but I suggest that you go for a bow item to increase your attack speed. Items such as Nashor's Tooth or Static Shiv can be great additions. Ornn is your main tank and he can use a wide range of frontline items. Thief's Gloves can be used by Rockin' Mukon Ludur in that order. Another fast 9 comp is Dragonlord Aurelia. Just like the other S-tier comps, Dragonlord Aurelia relies on a win streak opener to provide the player with enough gold to get to fast 9 and hit legendary units. Add Warden and Altruist to give your Storyweaver the frontline that it needs. At 4-1 or 4-2 you can slightly roll for a 4-cost frontline and backline. Depending on your HP, this is where you decide if you can keep playing for Dragonlord Aurelia or have to pivot to Kaisa/Ashe instead. Once stabilized, go 9 and pivot your board to a Dragonlord comp with whatever legendary unit you hit. Augments. At 2-1 or 3-2 go for econ augments to be able to fast 9. At 4-2 pick any generic combat augment that fits your board. Itemization. Aurelia only has one core item, and that is red buff. She can use items such as Renan's Hurricane, Deathblade, Giant Slayer, Rageblade, or even Infinity Edge. Ornn is your main tank and can use any tank items. A comp that has come back this patch is Umbral reroll. Alun received an attack speed buff while 6 and 8 Umbral received buffs as well. If you get an Alun drop from stage 1, you can start thinking of playing this comp, especially if there is a high chance of getting a spatula from the portal or augment. You'll start rolling for Alun 3 at 7. You can also go for Yon 3 if you have the items for him. If you high roll a set at 7, you can play 6 Umbral over Reaper and Annie. Once you hit Alun 3, start pushing levels for 6 Umbral and Azir. Yorick Hero Augment and Umbral Emblem are your priorities. Should you get a Yorick Hero Augment, you'll need to go for Yorick 3. You can also use item augments to itemize your 3-star units. Generic augments such as Harm Assist is also desirable so you don't have to build healing items on Alun. Alun wants 1 mana item along with an anti-heal. After that, you can go for either Death Cap or Archangel's Staff as a source of AP. Yorick uses your tank items if you have the hero augment. If not, you can use a Silas 2 instead. After receiving buffs to Volibear and Tristana along with their trait, Duelist seems to be viable in this patch as well. You can look to play this comp with a Duelist opener. Just keep adding Duelist units in your board. You can also play Diana until you find either Rockin' or Wukong. Start rolling at 7 for your 3-star Volume 1 and Tristana. Once you hit your 3-star, you can start pushing levels to cap your board with Wukong and Rockin' at 9. You want to go for a Duelist emblem or extended duel. The Duelist comp also benefits from augments that give you shields since they have damage reduction from their trait. You can also use augments such as Silver Veil or Gargantuan to turn your Volibear into an unkillable unit. Volibear still wants the same items as before, Bloodthirster and Titans, while he can also use Quicksilver to counter the crowd control from the enemy board. Tristana on the other hand can use different items such as Renan's, Gunblade, Giant Slayer and a combination of Last Whisper and Infinity Edge. Aurelia and Lee Sin get the rest of whatever items you can find. After receiving a nerf to his resistance, Kayn seems to be doing fine. While the changes to Heavenly are not yet fully understood, the comp seems viable as of now. You can play Heavenly Kayn if you have a Duelist Heavenly opener along with the correct Kayn items. All you need to do is keep adding Heavenly units along with Yorick for Umbral. Once you get to 8 at 4-1 or 4-2, start rolling for your 4-cost units. You can play Diana until you hit a Wukong for Sage. Start pushing levels once you hit your upgrades and cap your board with Wukong and Rockin' at 9. You can drop Nico later for Rockin'. You want to prioritize combat augments versus econ in this comp. You benefit a lot from combat augments such as Little Buddies, Combat Caster, Gifts from the Fallen, Inspiring, and Martyr. You can also use item augments such as Not Today, Gargantuan, and Idealism. A Heavenly Emblem is also good to give your unit extra stats from the trait. You can also look to go for augments that give you support Anvil to get a Banshees for your Kayn. With the changes to the Heavenly trait, Kayn can now benefit from the extra stats given by the Heavenly Emblem. He still wants to use items such as Edge of Night and healing items such as Bloodthirster or Hand of Justice. He also wants a Last Whisper or an Even Shroud on one of the other units to to kill the frontline units faster. Morgana uses the anti-heal item in this comp. With the changes to her targeting, expect her to deal more damage this patch. Lee Sin and Wukong can use either Thief's Gloves or leftover AD items similar to Kayn. Storyweaver received buffs to Kayle, Riven, and Zoe, which pushed the comp into being viable once again. You can play this comp if you have a Storyweaver emblem or if Kaisa/Ashe is too contested while you have a win streak and a lot of gold to go 9 with. Add more frontline at stage 3 along with Soraka for Altruist. At 4-1 or 4-2 go 8 and roll for an upgraded frontline and either a Kaisa 2 or an Aurelia 1. Go 9 once you are stable and cap your board with Rockin and Lee. This comp prioritizes emblem augments. It also wants generic econ and combat augments. Aurelia wants a red buff along with 2 damage items. Galio can use a lot of tank items, but he really wants a gargoyle to maximize his ability. Let me know in the comments below what comps you'd like to see covered next, and until then, happy climbing! Thanks for watching! If you enjoyed this guide, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to Item Swap for more TFT content.